Welcome to the show, everybody. Super excited to have on today Snappy from PIVX. He's otherwise known as Brian. Snappy, welcome to the show.
Awesome. Thanks so much for having me and PIVX on the show.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, PIVX is one of the most popular privacy coins going right now. You guys have built an amazing community, built an amazing coin to boot. Can you tell anyone who hasn't really heard about PIVX before what it is?
Sure. So PIVX stands for Private Instant Verified Transaction. I mean, that's the name. It's the acronym. Yes, it is a cryptocurrency. It has some really cool features, which we'll talk about probably throughout the duration of this show. It was announced in 2015 around Thanksgiving, launched January of 2016 under the name Darknet at that point. So we are a Bitcoin Core code fork of Dash, and then implemented and built into our own ethos and ecosphere since then. The rebrand of the coin and community took place in about 10 months ago. So right around February, March, there's a lot of community input about, hey, we need something that more accurately represents who we are as a growing community. And so thus PIVX was birthed, I guess you could say, to be more direct of what the code base represents. And it sort of took a life of its own. I remember people back just had one of these, glory stories rises, and people just went, wow, this coin came out of nowhere. And you go back into the GitHub and see, oh, there's been development for the past, year in this project. So that's sort of the little history of the coin and the project. What a lot of people, I think, are getting a taste of is the community. There's a lot of really incredible people that are part of this project, whether it's developers, the marketing team, the people who are in this DAO, because we're a decentralized autonomous organization. There is no company, foundation, et cetera at this point. So it's really a coin, you could say, for the people, by the people. And it's incredible to see that type of energy into a project. So yeah, I mean, we're the crazy purple people, love it or hate us. It's this awesome blend of we're ourselves unabashedly when it comes to what we do, and yet we also have an incredible technology, providing security and privacy while doing transactions online. So
Awesome. I'm sold. Where do I sign up? Wait, I already did sign up. It's a great thing. It's a great thing I'm a PIVX holder. Now, look, privacy has become a super popular trend in 2017. Why has privacy become so popular?
I think there's multiple different things that you could look at to try and wrap around why it's become so popular in 2017. Me just looking at the markets and analyzing what's been going on, I think there's a few things. So first of all, privacy was the buzz, and I think still will be, actually leading into 2018, if not more, for a bunch of reasons. But it really hit hard, right? So privacy and protecting your identity when doing online transactions. Facts got hacked, data leaks. So maintaining sort of that privacy of your data and your personal information is really paramount. So I think it became this really hot buzzword, and you saw a lot of the privacy coins just shoot through the roof. And so from a trader perspective, that's what they were going after. They were picking the privacy coins and going after them and pumping markets. And I think we saw that. The flip of it is, I think people are waking up, realizing, taking more ownership of themselves, right? So Bitcoin burst onto the scene and everyone went, wow, this thing's incredible. It's going to be the savior. And also everybody assumed it protects your identities, right? When you're doing online digital currency transactions. And, you could go down the rabbit hole perspective of, oh, it's used for nefarious bad things, which of course, then you immediately say, when has the US dollar or the pound, et cetera, not been used for nefarious bad things? So that is the, I would say, bad argument about why or why not privacy is important, right? So I think what happens is people are coming in now going, wow, so my identity actually is traceable potentially using Bitcoin. Every transaction is potentially traceable. I don't really think I like that. I don't jive with that at all. And so, as I said, all the data breaches that are occurring and have been occurring more recently, people are going, especially online, dealing with my finances, dealing with transactions, maintaining my privacy and maintaining my personal security over my information is really important. So I think that's also why I think you're having these influx of new energies into crypto, and they're seeking that way to protect themselves from, you name the list, right? You could say prying eyes, you could say taxes, you could say whatever it is. However, that's what people, I think, are really starting to embrace is, no, I need to pull back my power and hold on to that.
Well, this is kind of like the same reason some people still prefer to pay with cash, because you get paid in cash, you pay somebody in cash, and there's no oversight in that process. And I think privacy coins have kind of filled that space in the crypto area. Now, look, one question I always get asked, and anytime I do anything about privacy coins, everybody always wants to know, well, which one's the best? How's it compare to all the other ones? And so, look, I mean, how would you compare yourselves to some of the other, big privacy coins, Monero, Dash, Verge, Zcoin, for example?
Yeah, sure. So, I love how you phrase it, like which one's the best or better, because it's subjective at that point. I think, personally, there are better technical algorithms and implementations than others. But PIVX uses the zero coin implementation. So unlike some of the other coins that use zero coin, as our developer Press Tab would say, it's zero coin on steroids. They've taken the algorithm and they've done some really, really incredible stuff, from the ability to send fractional amounts. You can send directly to who your recipient, rather than having it to send to an address yourself and then send it out. You can send multiple denominations versus just one denomination at a time. And one of the beautiful things about the implementation that the PIVX developers have done is, unlike other coins where you might be mixing with 5 or 10 different individuals or other coin bases, so specifically like in Monero, Dash, even in PIVX, your coins are literally one of thousands, 5,000. So from a code technicality, it's virtually untraceable. So what's beautiful about it, and again, that's what I love, what Press Tab will say all the time is, hey, he uses this when he is doing business with merchants, right? Not necessarily because he has anything to hide or he's doing anything illegal. It's just, it provides a break and a link between the vendor and his wallet. So they can't see how often he's getting paid, right? Because if you have if you have a Bitcoin address and that's your address, which most people only use one address, then you can see every input and every output, right? So somebody could sit there and see, oh, that person's getting paid a Bitcoin every month, and then they're sending X, Y, Z. Well, that's the beauty of using something like in PIVX, the ZPIV, right? That's the privacy element of PIVX. It provides that link. It provides that broken link between your wallet and the merchants. So, and you combine all those enhancements of the zero coin protocol that PIVX has, along with the other robust features, whether it's staking rewards, whether it's the speed of transactions, the low fees, the burning of fees. It rounds it out from just being a privacy coin to an actual global useful coin that allows and provides people the freedom to choose what they want to do, when they want to do it, in a very, very solid, efficient manner. So
I think you hit on a lot of good points, and we're going to come to quite a few of those moving forward. But I think one of the key areas is everyone's always looking, like you said, for what's the best privacy coin. They've all got different approaches to reaching the same end goal. And I think that's the important thing to remember, and that all the tools that are being used by the different coins are all very powerful. And so the different iterations of how do we achieve privacy are simply different iterations of the same end goal. It's like 5 people driving down different roads, but all ending up in the same city. So now, The low fees on PIVX are awesome. And if we look at what's happened with Bitcoin recently, I mean, amazingly, fees have still not been a barrier to people using Bitcoin. But, you know, as far as small transactions or even bigger transactions, during the sort of the Bitcoin Cash drama a few weeks ago, it was like $90 to send a Bitcoin transaction, which is absurd. Even now, it's between $10 and $15 to send a Bitcoin transaction, which is still absurd, especially if you want to, you know, if you're a merchant who accepts Bitcoin, you virtually can't accept Bitcoin. Who's going to come to your restaurant, buy a coffee, and spend $15 to send the transaction for their $2 cup of coffee? That's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So obviously, low fees with PIVX are totally awesome. And you guys burn your fees, and I'd like you to expand a little bit more on that, because I think you had a block recently, if I remember, where actually you burned more than was created, so it was actually deflated a little bit.
Yep. Yeah, so that was, you know, that's a shout out to one of the Pivians, JaKgJn. He's a long-term Pivian. Did some research into that specific block. He's been keeping an eye on it and found and went, oh, there it is, like the proof of concept. So yeah, so that's one of the beautiful things. So in PIVX, we burn the fees, right? In traditional mining, in the proof of work algorithm, the fees are what are the rewards or one of the incentivizations for the miners to keep doing what they're doing. Like they get those transaction fees. So that's sort of a necessary, I don't want to say it's a necessary evil because it's not evil, it's a necessary element to keep those networks going. So the beautiful thing about proof of stake, which PIVX is, you know, I guess you could say really innovating and championing it to a certain degree in what it's doing, you have the ability to choose what you do with those transaction fees because there are no miners, right? It is your network of stakers, and that's very, very energy efficient, non-resource intensive. So what PIVX, the developers decided to do is let's burn them, right? So we'll make them really, really small. I think right now the average transaction fee is 3/100th of a cent, something like that, or
Crazy.
even less. So it's like 0.0003. Is that 3/100ths or 3/1000ths? Yeah, it's
super low.
Small. It's super low, right? So basically, you could send $1 million to somebody in Zimbabwe, and it would cost you basically nothing. However, if we all remember Office Space, right? They were just scooping pennies, right, off the top. The only problem is when you have hundreds of thousands of transactions, that starts to add up, right? Especially if you use the privacy mechanism, then there's a minting fee as well, which is a little bit higher, but not exorbitant. So I think they calculated when we hit, it's around 10 or 11 on average, just normal spends, is that there was actually more burned, there was more PIV burned that block than generated. So in that specific block, the coin supply actually dropped by, I think it was like 5 or 6 PIV, which is pretty awesome. So for the long term, like we're not sustaining that amount of transactions every second now. However, it's very, very foreseeable that as we reach further and further global adoption, you're going to see that. And so, you know, that's one of the things people always argue about. Well, there's no hard cap to the coin. I mean, yeah, except what's beautiful about PIVX is we call it a soft cap, right? There is a in the code guaranteed emission rate. I think it's 2.6, 2.7 million PIV a year. So that's set, right? So it's not a percent inflation rate. It's a set amount. So that's going out. What starts to change is as the amount of transactions increases, our coin supply basically is going to level off and then potentially at some point become deflationary, right? And so somebody could argue, well, then you're in a worse predicament because now you're having coins removed from circulation. The price is going to skyrocket, and now it's not a currency anymore. Except the beautiful thing about, we haven't talked about yet, a community design governance, or the ability to, as a community, decide what you want to do, we could actually lower transaction fees. Novel idea, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, that would be pretty awesome. Say 2 years from now, let's say we're removing 5 PIV every block. That's conceivable. As a community, we could say this is not going to be sustainable for the long-term economy as a global currency. It's great for pockets, right? Because now your coin is, you know, even more rare. But as a global currency, it's not really that useful anymore. So as a community, we could vote to say, let's cut the fees in half. or, reduce them completely. And we have that option.
Very, very cool. The governance model is actually awesome, and really community and governance is absolutely essential for any project. And we see the kind of the lack of that with Bitcoin and how that's just resulted in unending drama, basically. Now, you've actually got in-wallet governance coming. So maybe you can tell us how governance works currently with PIVX and what that in-wallet governance is going to look like.
Yeah, so in-wallet governance, I guess the simplest way to say is it's going to make it a whole lot simpler, right? We currently have what's called in-wallet governance. It's just done by, you do your commands in the command line. So for the average norm, I don't even want to say normal. What is normal? But for the average user who just downloaded a wallet, right? It is a little bit of a barrier. It's not a bit of a barrier, right? So currently how it works is proposals. Anybody can submit a proposal. It costs 50 PIV right now, and that is something as well that's being looked at to potentially reduce to lower that barrier to entry. But right now it's 50 PIV. Anybody can submit, right? So anybody can submit a proposal, submit through the command line, and then what happens is it's assigned a hash, it's assigned a transaction, and then you can vote yes or no. And currently what happens is the masternodes are the ones who have the ability to vote on the proposals, right? So again, we were a code fork off of Dash, so we inherited that technology of voting. What we've done in PIVX is push that further, and that's actually going to be hopefully coming in 2018. A lot of white papers and technical documentations. All the masternodes in PIVX, I forget when it was, 5-6 months ago, unanimously voted to give up their exclusivity, right? So they voted to say, we want everyone in PIVX to have the ability to vote and not have it just be exclusive for masternodes, which is what most of the masternode community governance coins have, right? So we are pushing that envelope to say, let's figure this out. Of course, that comes with a whole lot of fun things about how do you design a new governance, right? Which is what we're doing. So the in-wallet governance will literally be a really nice user interface, simple proposal submission, right? So type it up, say, here it is, simple proposal submission, boom, done, easier, right? And so then you can track your proposals, be able to see them. It'll be, aesthetically, it's the geeks in the background that can do the coding and tech. They understand it. This makes it much simpler for somebody to come in and go, boom, submit my proposal, done.
Nice. As user-friendly as possible. That's a key with anything really, because most people don't have that technical capability. So that's really cool to see that coming. Now, let's move on, I think, to this question, actually. There were a lot of problems in the upgrade to the Zero Coin protocol. What happened?
Yeah, so, and again, this would be a great one to have Press Tab on because he was in the thick of it. So I'm getting information from the developers of what transpired. So this is I'll convey to you what I know. Of course, it's always best to get the developer's brain on that one. So when they pushed the upgrade, the mandatory upgrade, enforcing the Zero Coin protocol within PIVX, went through a private beta for a long time, open to the public to do, I guess you could say, like an alpha test to say, hey, or bash this. Let's figure out everything. Let's throw more network at this in the test net to see what happens. Everything was running great. Everything was running perfectly smooth, and which is why the developers felt comfortable saying, let's go. They said it launched and ran into some issues. There was some issues where in PIVX there is, when the Zero Coin was pushed, there is an auto mint, right? So PIV are automatically converted into ZPIV to help secure the network and to provide that baseline layer of privacy of all the coins across the network. That didn't catch. There were some people that all of a sudden they had 15, 20, 30, 40, 50% of their PIVX being just converted into the privacy coin. So that just blew right through that limitation. There was also, and I forget what the other issue that came up, So that was immediately found, and the developers saw it and went, and I think within 48 hours had a patch. The patch went out, and I think right after that is when the bug that was discovered in the actual zero coin protocol. So the LibZero repository. It's a third party protocol that PIVX, that any zero coin implemented coin uses. There was a bug found in that that was discovered basically right after that update from PIVX went out. So everything got slammed, shut down at that point, and the developers. It was one of those unfortunate timings of, hey, the patch went out, awesome, and then there's a bug in a third party protocol that all the zero coins are using. Great. So it was actually really cool. It was one of those neat ones to see communities starting to work together, because Zcoin, actually I think they were the one, I forget who announced it. And then the developers in PIVX were working on patches as well at the same time. So PressTab, one of the main developers for PIVX, actually found and developed a patch for that bug that's in that third-party protocol, and pushed it into PIVX, and it worked successfully. And I think there was some feedback and crosstalk between Zcoin and PIVX at that time. So it was neat to see that privacy community coming together to say, hey, here's an issue, let's figure this out.
Yeah. The more brains, the better. Why work independently? It doesn't make any sense.
Oh, especially when you're sharing the same resources from a code base. So there was I think there was 2 or 3 wallet updates that were in that span of 2 to 3 weeks. Somebody in our Discord actually said, it's been 13 days. There hasn't been a wallet update. I feel kind of bored.
Oh my goodness.
No, the thing is, I understand, because it's people's coins, it's investments, right? The flip of it is and this is a testament to the developers in PIVX. They did something that people said was not going to be possible, to implement the zero coin protocol into proof of stake coin. They were told flat out, not possible. So the ability to push the envelope in terms of privacy and just usefulness in a proof of stake coin. The fact that they had those bugs, the community was kept informed of what's going on, pushing wallet updates, and then on top of that, doing more wallet updates for third-party stuff. It was, look, you can spin a story any way you want. I look at it and I go, yeah, there were some road bumps. The developers did an incredible job personally of maintaining the network, maintaining the code base, and providing a stable platform, right? It's the first proof of stake coin to implement zero coin protocol, and it's running incredible right now. So
very, very cool. Yeah, it's amazing to see, the cutting edge really of these different ideas being implemented, and communities pushing it forward. It's really exciting stuff. Now, speaking of cutting edge things that are going on, ZDEX. I saw that in the roadmap. What's going on with that? Really? Is this going to be a thing? This sounds awesome. Can you explain a bit about it?
Yeah, so I'm still getting information and bits from the developers. They said, hey, this is what it is, briefly, without giving us too much. So they don't like to fluff. So that's another thing I love about the PIVX developers is they're on the other side of the fence about, they don't like to talk about a lot of what's being developed, because they don't like to hype. They don't like to put stuff out and then not deliver on it. So yeah, so ZDEX is a in-wallet coin-to-coin exchange. So you'll be able to do swaps of PIV to ZPIV. You'll be able to do swaps to potentially other coins in wallet as well. So there's some thoughts of potentially actually using masternodes, right? So since we have masternodes, and one of the functions of masternodes, like in Dash, is for the coin mixing. Well, we don't do coin mixing anymore. We're using, the enhanced zero coin protocol now. So masternodes, well, what else could they do? And so one of the thoughts is that masternodes could actually run other coins' entire blockchain, right? So you set up a dedicated masternode, or people could set it up, and then you can start to do almost like atomic swaps, but in a little bit of a different way in wallet. So I don't know if that's part of that going to be the first rollout of the ZDEX, but
the ideas
it's something
those
that
ideas we put out there. They're floating around, you know. So it's I guess whether or not those ideas get taken down and implemented. But it's very exciting stuff actually to see that in wallet implementation coming and to see how that's going to really roll out. So that's really
yeah.
exciting. So except for the ZDEX, what are some of the exciting things that we can expect moving forward on the roadmap?
Yeah. So, what am I allowed to say? Yeah. So there's a lot coming in of wallet upgrades. So I know there's going to be more from just we were talking about user interface. There's going to be some really slick wallet upgrades coming. There's a lot of upgrades from the code base. I know they're upgrading Bitcoin Core some more. There's going to be more work done on ZPIV and making that more user friendly. There's also the talk about we're already on Ledger, right? So you can put your PIV onto a Ledger and have it secured offline. But if you're staking, it doesn't really do much, except masternodes, right? So masternodes, what we're working on is actually being able to put your masternode collateral, so that's 10,000 PIV, and have it stored on a ledger, and you can still be running your masternode. So you basically then can lock your 10,000 PIV, which you're not staking with it, right? So you can lock that onto your ledger, boop, and still run your masternode, and now you're doing all the functions of masternode and earning your masternode rewards. So that's really cool from a security standpoint of those who have masternodes or who are interested in getting one. That's going to be huge because then you know, hey, my 10,000, 20,000, 30,000 PIV, I've got those on a ledger, and those suckers are secure, and I'm still earning, right? So that's really awesome. There is also talks about allowing ZPIV staking. So right now, the privacy ZPIV, it doesn't stake, right? So that's one of the limitations, and I shouldn't say limitations. The privacy aspect's incredible. What people aren't too look, they love making money. However, there's talks about actually providing stakeability with ZPIV, right? So you can auto convert, you can convert into ZPIV and still stake using those, which would be really awesome. So again, stuff that has never been done before, and the PIVX developers are working on it. There potentially are some really cool partnerships. We've already announced 2. So AdBank is a really, really incredible project out of Canada. Mm-hmm. So they're doing they're in that online advertising, cut out the middleman sector. Adbank.network, I think, is the website. Yeah, so there's some really cool synergies that are partnering up there between us and them. Local World Forwarders is a global logistics shipping project. So there's cool. You know, PIVX as a community is really seeking to find other projects that have overlapping synergies. I know this is outside of like the core code base, but it's part of the whole for the roadmap. So ATMs are coming. So awesome. We've got ATMs that are coming. I was just talking with Eric today about that. Probably Q1 of 2018, we'll have several ATMs globally, possibly dozens globally, just from Jump Street, and some cool custom PIVX branded ones as well. So, and there won't be exclusive PIVX, right? So these will be Bitcoin, Litecoin PIVX. You'll be able to walk up. So that'll be really neat to have that side by side with some of the larger market cap ones. We will have the iOS app, wallet app, that will be pushed out before the end of the year. So we'll see when Apple decides to actually approve it, but it'll actually be submitted by the end of the year. So that'll be nice for all the Apple fans out there. They'll have their mobile wallets ready and to go. There's a couple exchanges that are probably going to get listing us soon, so I'm not at liberty to say what they are.
Yeah, of course. The exchange conversation is a tricky one to have. Like, it's coming, but we can't say who or when or why. Or
yeah, so that's one of the fun ones of like I don't have to hype and be like, we're gonna get on these incredible exchange. Like, no, like it's coming. So again, I don't know exactly when, but those conversations are occurring, and it's going really well. So awesome. And I think that's enough. I don't know. There's more.
Yeah, that's cool. That's a
I'm
lot. That's a lot.
bypassing a
That's a
lot.
lot of
So.
exciting stuff, though. That's a lot of exciting stuff. This is the thing is that I was looking at the roadmap the other day. And, wow, there's just still so much to come. How can you guys find so many things to continue to upgrade PIVX with? This is amazing. Because some roadmaps are very unambitious. Some roadmaps like, oh, we're gonna do something, 1 or 2 things next year. You guys are like, no, we're doing like 10 things next year, and we got more coming after that. And that's really great to see that level of excitement, ambitiousness, continued development moving forward for PIVX. So that is really, really cool. Now, I see you guys are sponsoring a football team in Poland. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
What are some other marketing angles that you're looking at?
So we also had a one of the, it was a nationally ranked or world record bodyboarder, the Gold Coast Fish. He's top ranked near, I think is what it's called, down there. Yeah, there's definitely the sports angle, and we're not sponsoring the Philadelphia Eagles or Dallas Cowboys yet. But yeah, I'm not saying anything. But it's one of those where it's, as we talked about earlier, the global community aspect about PIVX. It's not just about going for the high profile, in your face, because at the end of the day, the people who are going to be using this technology, there's a lot more of those that are in communities all over the world. And so if you start to be part of their communities and supporting them, we feel like if you do both, that outreach all of a sudden hits together, right? So there's some really cool stuff occurring in Cancun. You've seen some of it probably on our Facebook, Twitter feeds. I think there's 5 or 6 merchants in Cancun right now already that are accepting PIVX, like walk up, scan, boom, done. So that's everything from food to, I think there's going to be a hotel soon, to potentially some other, it's awesome. The Cancun, and that's a total grassroots movement. Those are people that were in PIVX and went, I love this. And then they turn around and they start building the community with them. So yeah, I mean, there will be some PIVX meetups in Cancun real soon, just because of that. Yeah. So some of the other marketing angles, I guess you could say, we're working with some exchanges. We had a fashion pop icon out of Japan that just became part of the PIVX team. So she's pretty well known in Japan and loves PIVX, loves purple. Another Pivian's over there, and he got in contact with her, and she just went, yeah, loved it. So
nice.
It's kind of cool to see that blend occur. I mean, the Asian market, obviously from a crypto perspective, is like incredible. So that's what's starting to hit that transcendence of the code and the tech and that PIVX is becoming, personally for me, it's a lifestyle brand, right? So the tech, the code base is just a reflection of what the core matters are to me, like privacy. I don't want to be gouged doing a transaction. I want my identity secure when I'm online doing transactions. It's fast, it's supportive and inclusive of everybody. And I think there's some really cool market movers outside of crypto seeing that and jumping on board. So and then obviously we've got some cool partnerships lined up with other crypto projects as well. So
very cool. And like you said, it's brand's actually really important. I think across the space, PIVX has been doing amazing things branding wise, and personally I think has one of the top brands in the space, and that's just moving forward, that will continue to develop because it's cool. It's you got just a nice concise image, and I really like all that. I think it's absolutely fantastic. Now, the final question I have here for you is, we've been talking about this amazing community that's being built. How can people get involved? If people want to join the PIVX community, if they want to, reach out, how do they do that?
Sure. So there's multiple entry points in. As I said, we're a global community, so there isn't one hub per se. Discord right now, as that platform is sort of the central location for a lot of the Pivians. So there's links. We could throw one up. There is an invite Discord link to come into the community. I think there's 3,000 of us now in there. So that's become sort of the main repo of a lot of the Pivians. There's Telegram, Telegraph, WeChat, etc. They have smaller PIVX communities in them as well. As far as what can somebody who's new to this and says, I want to jump in and learn, obviously talk to us. Find us through Twitter, find us on Facebook, Instagram, Reddit, Bitcoin Talk. I mean, you name it. Just get in touch with a Pivian and you'll get pointed into the right direction. Probably get tipped some Piv if you come into the Discord, because we've got our own tip bot in there and it's raining purple every other day, basically. So, as far as what can people do, I tend to answer this in a pseudo esoteric, also where my resonance is. For me, PIVX allows and provides people room to be themselves. And one of my hopes and passions for what I do with PIVX is to provide that opportunity for others and empower them. So people can come in and go, well, what can I do? And a lot of the question is, well, what do you like to do? Let's figure out a way that you can link that and we'll throw PIVX into it and figure out how it goes. So yeah, there are definitive items and areas that we're always looking for support in. A lot of it, though, is we don't want to pigeonhole ourselves and a person into one specific arena, right? I mean, I'm doing videos and out talking to people about PIVX all the time, and yet I'm also working on business development stuff. So the ability to have multiple hats is something that a lot of people are finding in PIVX, that freedom to come in and go, oh, I can interdisciplinary use these talents and feed in. So there's also PIVX fans. We have a kind of a bounty task website where you can go and say, oh, I can tweet this, I can Facebook, I can like this, I can create my own article, and you can actually earn PIV for doing it. So that's another thing too, is you literally have to have no money and you can have your first PIV and earn PIV just by helping to support the community. So
that's awesome. That's awesome. Nothing like incentivizing people to actually get involved. Say, hey, you want to join the community? Help spread the word. You can get paid for doing it, and that's really cool.
Yeah.
Brian, this has been a lot of fun. PIVX is absolutely one of the top projects going. For anyone who hasn't got involved in the community yet, who hasn't done any research on, I hope this is a good introduction to get out there and find out some more about PIVX, because it's definitely got just massive potential moving forward as a community, as a coin, as a brand. It's very exciting times. Awesome, Brian. Thanks for taking the time, and we'll catch you later.
See you, man.
Bye.